We are now live in effect at Hustler Resources.
Pull up on the hottest podcast where we speak all facts, no cap. Rick the Hustler, he got you covered, so shit, baby, start following.
You know we keep it lit, you know we keep it poppin'. We play the hottest music and we speak on trending topics. You know we keep it lit, you know we keep it poppin'. We play the hottest music and we speak on trending topics. It's about to go down.
Pull up on the hottest podcast. It's about
I'm trying to keep coming. What are you talking about?
got you covered, so shit, baby, start following. Pull up on the hottest podcast. It's about to go down. Rick the Hustler, he got you covered, so shit, baby, start following.
Can't never go wrong with that hoe, bro. I promise. I know I say that shit every time, bro. But wait till we get these motherfucking drops, bro. That shit gonna be so motherfucking live.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what we need. You know what I'm saying?
No, for real, that shit gonna be hard, fam. Real hard.
It's definitely gonna be hard.
What's up, everybody, man? Y'all already know the routine, man. Y'all go ahead and hit that share button, smash that like button, man. 10 shares, 10 groups.
Smoothvega is in the building.
Yes, sir.
Best to believe
Free
it.
game alert. Y'all better pull up. This man doing big motherfucking things, man.
Big things, man. Shit, I just now got hit, man. He be doing this interview thing, man.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, it got me all excited. Threw me back to my childhood.
No,
days.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The people he interviewing with, like, shoot.
Facts. And you know, I had to put that on the wheel, so shit.
Yeah, that's hard, man. This dude didn't work with all types of artists, bro, who used to be in my playlist. For sure.
That's what I'm saying, bro. These interviews right here, bro, they give game and show appreciation and do all that shit, bro, because sometimes niggas be needing to hear different routes to the game, and he definitely got another one for you to take.
Absolutely. Coming straight out of Funky Town, too?
Yes, sir. You hear me? Shout out to the phone, man. Shout out to the motherfucking phone. For shit.
Yes, sir.
You already know it.
You know Facebook got that delay.
Yeah, bro. I can't wait to be done with them. I don't know what's taking IG so long to let you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but and it's ran by the same people. That would be tripping me out.
Yes, sir.
But it's all good. We gonna yeah, you know what?
Yeah, but baby gonna pull up.
Yeah. I talked to him. I talked to him a while ago. Oh shit, I didn't send him the link. Let me send my boy the link, man. Let me send a link to my boy real quick.
Sure, myself.
Yeah, I just had to do that shit. Let me send that to Buck. We're gonna give it like 2 more minutes, man. And we're gonna bring my boy up. Make sure I can see him back here. Let me get this off of here real quick. Yes, sir. There you see. I can see him back there. Buck. Let me send this to Buck. Shout out to my nigga Rec, man, for linking us up, putting this together for us, man. Real nigga for shit show.
Well, that's hard, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
That's real hard, man. I didn't know,
Yeah, man.
Rec was in ties with this.
Yeah, man. Big shout out to Rec.
Hella spy support.
Yo. Yeah, man. For real. No cap. All right, man. We ain't gonna waste no more of y'all time, man.
No, for real.
We finna go and get this started, man, because I'm excited about this one too. I love getting game, my nigga. I love hearing history, and if we get to hear it from a different standpoint this time, actually, this is gonna be our first Hispanic artist on the show. You know what I'm saying? So this help us reach a different crowd as well. You know what I'm saying? Because our city, we got some Hispanic artists that's killing the game too, man. So hopefully they see this and know that we touching every angle, bro. We ain't just, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all over it.
Absolutely. We're here for the people.
You hear me?
All different.
So shit, man. Without further delay, man, coming to the screen, my boy representing goddamn me Funky Town, man. Smoothvega, man. Y'all give it up for Smoothvega.
Yes, sir.
What's up with it, bro?
What is up, man? What's cracking? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
We can hear you loud and clear, buddy.
What is looking like,
up,
bro?
man? How's everybody doing?
Oh,
man,
yeah,
I'm chilling, man. Just here trying to make a shake. What's good, though?
Ain't too much, man. You good out there?
Yes, sir, man. I'm good, man. I had to come to the car, man. The kids were being loud, so I was like, yo, I'm gonna come to the car and make the shit happen, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I already know how it goes.
You know how it goes, man. You know how it is, you know?
Absolutely.
Hey, well, man, you know, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it, man, so we don't take up too much of your time and shit tonight. So for those that don't know, man, go ahead and introduce yourself, let them know who you are, where you from, man, what you got going on.
So I'm born and raised Fort Worth, Texas, man. That's the only place I've ever known to be, you know, home or whatever, man. It's the only place I've ever lived at. I was born and raised in Diamond Hill, Northside Fort Worth, to be precise. Just a little bit about myself, you know. I started as a recording artist. I started recording probably, man, over 20 years ago. You know, did the whole rap thing, won Best Rap Artist in Fort Worth, the Fort Worth Weekly in 2006, 2007, and 2015. I would say that I had a really good run as an artist. And, you know, technically I still make music from time to time, work with a lot of people, but eventually I transitioned into doing my own events and you know, going into talent buying. I formed a company in 2015. You know, prior to 2015, I did a lot of events, but I formed a company by the name of Premier Live Experience, and I made it public in 2016. And from that point forward, I started routing national tours, and I've worked with a who's who of people in the industry as far as like routing tours for them throughout Texas and really throughout the Southwest. You know, I can name a few people, you know, from Nipsey Hussle, Jordan Lucas, Dave East, A Boogie with the Hoodie, Westside Boogie, Royce the 5'9", Joe Budden, obviously anybody and everybody from Texas, from Face to Bun, Camilla Nair, Paul Wall, just a lot of artists that I've had the luxury of working with. The Game from the West Coast. I've worked with Eric B. and Rakim, Ja Rule, Ashante. So just a lot of people that I've had the opportunity to work with through routing tours and doing shows, you know?
All right, damn.
That's hard, man.
Damn.
That's real hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he sped it up real quick. So like what got you to those avenues to having the opportunity to work with those type of artists on that type of magnitude of the scale? Was it your music, or do you think like the routing, the touring picked that up a little bit? Or did you
man, look, it's kind of no.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess here's kind of a two-part answer, right? So when I started as an artist, you know, pretty quick, you know, I you got to remember I was recording in 2000. That was I recorded my first song in the year 2000. I launched my website in 2002. So you're talking about 20 to 22 years ago, right? So by the time I get to 2006, 2007, I started getting shows because MySpace was like a thing. And I always talk about how I was marketing on social media before it was really social media. And the cool thing about it was that I connected with a lot of artists, and I was able to, you know, do music with a lot of guys. So I was able to connect with Royce the 5'9", and Crooked Eye and Chino XL very early on in my career, as well as Little Flip. So these guys that I was working with early on in my career, I was able to just kind of naturally make connections. And everybody knows everybody in the industry whenever you're working the right way. So by the time I get to 2015, going into 2016, there's so many layers to how to get to a position to where you can route tours. But I guess to kind of summarize it best, when I did my first show, when I came back, I worked with Joe Budden, and his management team is obviously tied into Slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse happens to have Royce the 5'9" and Crooked Eye. Both of those guys I had already worked with as an artist, so there was some familiarity there. So there was a certain level of comfortability because they already knew, like, hey, we've done business with this guy. He's a solid guy. He's a cool cat, and the rest is history. You know what I mean? And those guys, in a lot of ways, along with Chino XL, who I also knew from the artist side, those guys were very responsible and instrumental into walking me into the agencies that would eventually give me the tours to be able to route. Because what people don't understand, it's like, even if me and you have $1 million, like, it doesn't matter how much money we have. anybody could come into the industry and think they could throw money around and get their foot in the door, but it's not really how it works. Like a lot of these agencies, they work with big multi-million dollar companies. So when they're talking about routing national tours, for example, like they already have Live Nation, they already have AEG. So for an independent to come in and to be able to take some of that business is very difficult. The only way it's going to happen is if those companies don't want it, or B, you have a relationship and somebody's walking you into it. And I just so happen to have that be the situation where I was very fortunate to where somebody walked me into it. I mean, the last possibility would be if you just got lucky, but in most cases that doesn't happen. So I think for me, being walked in was very important, and it also gave me a certain level of credibility because these are the artists going, hey, we understand, Live Nation over here, we understand you have AG over there, but in Texas our guy is Lorenzo. Smoothvega is our guy. We want to work with Premier Live. He's our guy. And you got to also understand, like, the bigger corporations, the multi-million dollar corporations, they're not offering these guys like, okay, we're gonna give you two, three, four, five, $6,000, $7,000 a show. They're just gonna be like, hey, we're gonna give you X amount of dollars for the next 30 days, for all 30 dates, and we're gonna route you through all our rooms. And they're like, okay, cool. And because they already are good with money, not as much is required out of them. But do you really think for a second that these multi-million dollar companies are paying attention to some of these artists and really giving them attention? The answer is no. So like they don't really care. They're just going through a cookie cutter system at that point where they just put them in the system. They're like, all right, we're gonna put them in. We're gonna use our big fucking email blast system and all our infrastructure, and we're just gonna apply it to every single situation, thinking it's gonna sell tickets. Whereas when you have an independent such as myself, who's familiar and passionate about the music and that has a connection to these guys, I'm gonna go way harder, and as a result have a better attended show, and in a result have a better experience. So it creates more of a building process, if that makes any sense. So I know that's a long answer, but that's kind of a little bit behind it.
That is
That's
great. Great information.
So you came up with like, okay, so in I believe it was 2008, you dropped the 31085, right?
Yeah. So that was as a rapper, correct? I released that project.
So okay, and you had like you had Royce and Chino XL and other artists like that. Can you take us through that whole process, like, and the impact that album had on your career overall?
Well, I think the thing about 31085, I look back on it now. Obviously, that's the majority of those songs were recorded in 2005, 2006, 2007. So by the time we get to 2008, a lot of the songs were already dated. But for me, it was such a far cry from what I had did previously, because I had a project that I had released in 2003 called 2004, my bad, called Unbreakable. So, I went from 2004 to 2008 between projects, and my 2004 project was the first album that I had ever fully manufactured. Like, it was completely pressed, it was completely shrink wrapped, it was professionally mastered, and I was young. I didn't know how to rap. I didn't know how to produce music. I mean, I knew how to rhyme, but I didn't really know how to, structure music. I didn't understand the concept of a song being full. I didn't have anybody mentoring me, guiding me, or managing me. So I was self-taught, and I take no shame in that. At the time, I took pride in it. But by the time we get to 31085, now I'm in a position where I had started doing my self-promoted events somewhere in between that time frame, and I started making a lot of money. So I was able to invest money into my music. So when I get to 31085, I felt like I was the shit. I was like, man, I'm so much better than Unbreakable. But I was still, it was like there was two parts of that project. Part of it was the first half of it, which was 2005, 2006. You started kind of hearing the development, and now you start hearing me finally come into my own, me understanding how to create music, me understanding my voice, me understanding my message and who I was trying to be and present myself as. And by the time we get to the tail end of that project, you fully understood it. So by the time you get to the record with like Flip or Egomaniac, even, like, okay, this is a good indicator of who this is gonna be. But looking back on it, I mean, I still didn't know myself, because it was half the project was recorded early on, but I just felt it was so much better than what I had did previously. It didn't really matter. So at that time, I was proud of the project. But I look back now, like now when I look back on it, I can't really listen to it because there's so many parts of that project where I'm like, I know what I was trying to do. It just didn't convey. But I don't take, I take pride in it because of the fact that I did it on my own.
Right. Most
Oh,
definitely, bro. Most definitely. So, like, okay, now I'm if I remember correctly, like right after that, around I guess 2009, 2010, you kind of took a break for about 5 or 6 years, maybe more than that. Is are you
Yeah.
able to talk about what was going on during that period where you was absent?
Yeah. So what happened was I had formed a Premiere Live, which eventually came to be what Premiere Live is. The original version of it was Total Pandemonium, which was an all age event series that I was doing, and man, that shit just took off, bro. And that whole situation, I went. You got to think, bro. I was making a lot of money in one night, and I always tell the story, and I take a lot of pride in telling that story about how much money I was making at one point. But the thing about it is, it changed my perspective because prior to that, I would go city to city, backpack CDs. I would go to San Antonio, Amarillo, Austin, wherever, Dallas, it didn't matter. And, spend all day, hand in hand sales, trying to convince people to buy my album and trying to
Right.
convince people to spend money with me. And, on a good weekend, I might make $500. On my best weekend, I think I made $900. But I had to grind, literally 24 hours to get to that money. And it's exhausting when you hear that many no's. So when I started doing events, now I'm making thousands of dollars in one night. It changed my perspective, and it made me realize how different I was. But by the end of 2009, I had went on a strong 24-month run. Uh, I was like, yo, man, it started feeling like it was running its course. So I was already kind of winding down with that specific event series. And then my mother passed away. When my mother passed away, at the time I had a pregnant wife. Uh, you know, Everything was just kind of like, okay, you know what? I'm about to be 25 years old because I started so young. I started going, I'm going to do what society wants me to do, which is get a job. I tried to get a job. That shit didn't work out because I didn't have any real work experience. My only experience was doing live events and doing music. So then eventually, I went back to doing what I knew how to do, which was do more live events. I continued to do more live events until I found out she was pregnant with our son. And as soon as I found out she was pregnant with our son, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm a buckle down and I'm gonna go get the job now. And I went and I got a job, and I was very fortunate to have a friend at the time that got me a job in the wireless industry, got my foot in the door. I was severely underpaid for about a year there, but I wanted to dedicate myself to whatever it is that I'm doing because I'm just naturally someone that wants to be the best at what I do. And I started doing that. And as I started doing that, uh, yeah, man, I mean, I think, like it started kind of making me kind of realize how important and how much of a factor I can be in another industry, but at the same time, how much of a factor and how important I am to the industry that I'm in terms of music. I still did events in that time period because it was from 2010 to 2015. I was still doing live events. I just wasn't doing them frequently. I was maybe doing them 2 or 3 times a year. But I think where I got to the point by the end of 2015, when I finally decided to go and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore and go self-employed, which I've been since 2016, is just kind of like, and I think we can all relate to this as creatives. We're at a day job, we're there, but the whole time we're there, we're daydreaming about what the fuck we want to really do, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a radio show, whether it's music, we're just daydreaming. And it just consumed me to the point where I was like, I'm not happy here no more. Like, I was a retail sales manager at the second highest traffic volume store in the market. I was making my way up T-Mobile at the time because I was working for T-Mobile. I met with the CEO, the CFO. I did live events with them. I was able to bring Terrell Owens and do an event with him and do an event with one of the guys on the Texas Rangers. I kind of mixed up both worlds. They all knew what I did, and they saw me as an asset. I was able to recruit a lot of people, but ultimately I was not happy when it was getting toward the tail end of that. And it had nothing to do with them because I learned a lot of core competencies from management and just how to like run a business and understand. I mean, I knew how to run a business, but really kind of articulate it better. And you know what, man, I just kind of said, you know what, I'm daydreaming about something else. It's like being married to a woman, and the whole time you're married to a woman, you're thinking about somebody else. Like, fuck it. At some point or another, I got to make the leap. And that's exactly what I did.
That's hard, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so do you think that Smooth Vega back then, like being that you did so much without today's internet and all the other stuff, you think today, if you were in this era of artists, you would accomplish way more?
I think that's kind of I think in a sense I've already proven that the answer is yes, because I was ahead of my time in the sense of like I was doing social media marketing before it was called social media marketing. I always had a niche for marketing and promoting. I always had a niche for like presentation. Like I always thought that's one of the most valuable parts of like all of this. Like you look at my talk show, it's presented a certain way, it's packaged a certain way. You look at my flyers, you look at my artwork, you look at what I do. I want my shit to look and feel different. And in a lot of ways, I don't want to say better, because like that's subjective, but in my opinion, I have a standard. I say that considering all the tools that I had then, because I didn't have a car for a very long time whenever I was younger. I was living out of my parents' house when I was younger. I'm talking about when I started out, right? And all those things that I did without those relationships and resources, I felt like I really made a stride for myself. Like I was winning awards, really, quite frankly, at a time where I had no business winning these awards. You know what I mean? Like they were doing it because the presence couldn't be denied. Now, as I've learned my voice and as I've gotten older now, if I was to have the skill set that I have today with all the tools that I have, plus all the resources and just knowing how to be communicative and understanding the concept of presentation and how to like sequence moves, there's no doubt that I would be the case. I mean, look, the Mogul Media and Dallas Global just released a list about a week ago, and they listed the top 16 Texas gatekeepers, and they listed me number 6 on this list. And I don't think this is the be all end all in regards to like being a quote unquote gatekeeper, because obviously, again, it's subjective and it's an opinion. The guys told me in advance, like, hey, we're going to list you number 6. We wanted to put you in the top 5. I'm like, look, I don't really care, man. You got to remember, I spent most of my career never really being acknowledged by certain counterparts. Like, I was never in the conversations with the Half Pints and the Hollywood Babies, despite doing just as much or maybe not more in some instances. But the fact is that now you guys have no other fucking option but to acknowledge what it is that I've been doing, because it's undeniable at this point. So all things considered, to answer your question, I've adapted to today's society or today's era of whatever, and I'm proving that I can move in a way that, quite frankly, nobody else is able to move, because I know how to do so many different things. People will like try to limit me and say like, what do you do? I'm like, well, the answer is I don't ever want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, but I am an artist. I am, I act as a producer, songwriter, anything in regards to the creation of music. I am a manager. I am an agent. I do broker deals on behalf of talent. And it's not just recording artists. It's also professional athletes. It's also celebrities. I broker a lot of deals for people, so I get my commission off of that, and I make good money off of that now. In addition to being able to jump in my bag and be a media personality and do interviews and have a talk show and still be able to be a graphic designer and a web designer, because I've been doing that for myself since 2003, 2004, which nobody fucking knew that I did that. You know what I mean? But like part of my presentation is that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you have all these different things that I do on top of the other shit that I do. So it's just like you really can't. I can hit you from too many different angles. There's no way that I think that I wouldn't be able to be a factor if I was to focus on being a new artist. But the problem with artistry and being a creative, I feel that artists have a window. And I think when you strike when the iron's hot, and you get your momentum when you have what I call the new artist energy. And with the new artist energy is whenever you're fresh, people like to feel like they're discovering something for the first time. They don't want to feel like they're hearing about the same person they've heard for the last 5 or 10 years. So if I was new, I think I would be a factor. But the fact that I've been around and people know who I am, I don't think that anybody would truly embrace me as a new artist or give me that look. So that's why I don't really tread those waters. But maybe you'll see me pop up with a record from time to time, but that's just not where my mind's at right now.
Hey man, I think you're a perfect example of showing artists that there's a gazillion other ways of making money besides being the artist. You know what I'm saying? In the music game. So like, everybody always want to take this road. Everybody want to take the road that everybody knows about, but nobody want to take the road less traveled.
Yeah, bro.
Like there's other ways. There's hundreds of other ways.
Well, I mean, look.
What?
Yeah, I always say, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, but for me, I would say like my biggest inspiration and my biggest influence in business has always been Vince McMahon. But I think growing up, of course, I looked up to the moguls in the music industry, and I would say that Master P was probably one of the guys that resonated the most with me at the
For
time.
sure,
Whenever I
so.
was 13 years old, when I was 13 years old, I remember I took a picture in my eighth grade yearbook wearing No Limit chain, and never once did I ever sit back and think, well, shit, P influenced me and how I moved until I got older and I started realizing, like, damn, everything that P's done, there's never, I mean, no pun intended, but there's never been a limit to what he wants to do. If he wants to go out and play basketball, he's going to play basketball. You ain't finna tell him different. And you know what? He's going to make the team. And he might not make it to the NBA, but he'll be definitely in the fucking developmental league or whatever it is that he was doing there for a while. Same thing with movies or sports. He started an agency. People forget he signed Ricky Williams whenever Ricky Williams came out of Texas or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot
Yeah.
of things that Master P's done. And honestly, when it's all said and done in the history of hip hop, some people might not look at him as the most successful rapper. They might not even consider No Limit Records the most successful label. But when it comes down to it, is he the most paid? So if we're kind of looking at it like, yo, from a money aspect, he understood this is a business. I can't say that I'm the most paid. I can't say that I'm the most richest or any of that. What I realized early on was I love making music, and that's never going to change. But the talent is very interchangeable in the music industry. Like 1 minute, someone's gonna have a run, and guess what? Eventually, that run's gonna end, and we're gonna rotate and get another talent. Then we're gonna rotate and get another talent. Then we're gonna rotate and get another talent, and the cycle keeps on moving, right? We all want to believe that we're contributors in this world. Like, hey, no different than if you work a job at corporate America. If you work a job at corporate America, we all want to believe, like, hey, man, we take pride in our work. We're a solid ass employee. If you fucking fire me or you get rid of me, you won't be able to replace me. But the truth is, they'll hire somebody the next day. Will they be
Yeah.
as good as you? Hey, who knows? TBD. But they're still gonna replace you. It's the same thing with the music industry. Same thing with any other industry. You're gonna get replaced. So for me, I just think like the more that I could control my narrative, the more that I could control my situation, the more that I could continue to grow and continue to do my thing. That's what I'm gonna do, and that's kind of where my mind is at. You feel me? So, uh, to your point, like I don't necessarily want to serve as an example of someone that didn't make it here but made it there. I feel like I've made it in everything I've applied my mind to, by my definition, because I don't think anything was ever really expected out of me. When I started, people flat out told me I wasn't good and that I would never make it. And now those same people that told me that I would never make it are hitting my line and asking me for favors. And you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like I can hold my head high knowing like, yo, I exceeded all y'all's expectation 10 or 15 years ago. We've
Yeah.
been adding on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, basically,
So,
you made it in all those areas. Like just trying to suggest to artists maybe to keep the options open on all. I'm not saying just don't go just try one thing. Try a multitude of things, and then have your keep your hustle open on as many options as you can.
Yeah, big facts.
man, look, I tell everybody this, man. I'm gonna use a basketball analogy. Not everybody could be Kobe Bryant, but just because you can't be Kobe Bryant, and by the way, by all means, that's okay if you're not Kobe Bryant, because that's a generational talent, right? You could be
Yeah.
Pau Gasol, you could be Derek Fisher, you could be Lamar Odom, you could be whoever else, you could be a contributor to the team, you could be Andrew Bynum, and I'm just kind of using that Lakers team as an example.
Yeah.
It goes without saying, like you could still be a key player on the team, but you might not always be the star player, and that's all right. You know what I'm saying? Like understand, like find your purpose, find what it is that you're going after, understand your purpose, and define what your definition of success is, because again, all of our definitions of success is different. Some people want to be rich, some people want to be known and signed, some people want the clout, some people want this, some people want that. I've All I've ever really wanted was to be fulfilled. And it took a long time to comprehend and understand what that looked like to me. What is being fulfilled? Being fulfilled to me is simply doing what I love to do, and doing it at the highest possible level that I can do it at. And in the process, being able to work alongside some of these guys I looked up to, because I think the misconception at times is that I only work with older artists. I don't. I don't only work with older artists. I don't only work with artists altogether. I work with athletes. I work with celebrities. I've been in rooms and had conversations with, major labels, with new upstart artists. Like there's so many things that I found like fulfillment in it. I mean, this is really dope. You know what I'm saying? And being also the educated, ushering a new generation of talent that didn't have a me whenever I was coming in. Because you got to understand, the biggest thing for me, I didn't have a me when I was coming in. Like, there wasn't anybody like me, that looked like me, that thought like me, that did what I did. And I'm not saying that in a braggadocious way. That's a fucking fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, there just was not a reference point for us in Fort Worth. You see some of these guys that came in and they rapped, but with all due respect to some of the guys that went on to have success as rappers, because people always want to point out the success of Twisted Black or the success of 6'2", which, by the way, I have the utmost respect for these guys. And, they're on my playlist. I listen to these guys. But when they had their biggest break and their biggest shot, what happened? Right? What happened? In Twisted Black's case, he got locked up. Like, no telling where he could have been. So the question is, and for those basketball fans out there, is he the GOAT or is he Earl Manigault? Right? Everybody talks about Earl Manigault as the best player that never made the league. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the best player that never made the league. So at some point or another, we have to look at body of work. Like, we can no longer look back 10, 15 years ago and say, this guy was this, when this guy's career unfortunately got shortened for whatever reason. Now we have to look at what's in front of us. There's a lot of young guys like Go Yayo that came in and really kind of shifted Fort Worth's culture. And we were able to see the first real artist to go truly viral and be on everybody's radar. Everybody knew what he was doing. But what happened with him? Where's Yayo at right now? Everybody talks about, he had the opportunity to sign with QC. He had all these great opportunities. And I got love for Yayo because, again, extremely successful artist and made a lot out of nothing. And I told him this when I met him. Everything you've done blindfolded. You had no real strategy doing it. You just did it. You connected on another level. But now he's in jail. So when we look at our GOATs, are we looking at our GOATs as the greats or the greatest story that could have been told that wasn't told? Because whatever, I feel that plagues us in a lot of ways.
Yeah, man. Damn, that's hard, bro. That's definitely true too. I don't think I can agree with that shit anymore, man. So going back to the Premiere Live experience, like what was the concept behind that and what exactly is it? Like what do you do with it?
So Premiere Live is just honestly, it's a promotional company. It's a concert company. It's a company that specializes in live events. We route now some tours, like I mentioned to you. We've worked with a lot of people. I was able to break Jordan Lucas in the market. I was able to break Dave East in the market. I was able to break A Boogie with the Hoodie in the market, Bad Baby in the market. A number of artists I was able to break and book them before anybody else and really kind of give them a presence in the market. But outside of that, we've also worked with a lot of legacy acts. Like I mentioned, Eric B. and Rakim, The Game, Scarface, Bun B, Camillionaire, Paul Wall, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Ja Rule and Ashante. There's a lot of artists that I've had the opportunity and the grace to work with on that level. And so we basically are a promoter, I guess is what you would call it now, right? Promoter, where I put these events together and I put them in, in these venues. And, I try my hardest to give independent artists that didn't have that don't have those opportunities to be able to be part of these live events. Because, again, I didn't have that platform coming in. So that's kind of the thing about Premiere Live. The whole concept behind Premiere Live when I first created it and when I first launched it was for me to create a system that would eventually become something that, an artist that I would go on to sign or manage would be the beneficiaries of. But, I manage an artist now, but, the goals have changed as time has gone on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I did Nipsey Hussle's last tour, the Victory Lap tour.
Yeah, that's hard. That's real hard, bro. For real. That's real hard.
Hey, did you ever work with Immortal Soldiers?
Absolutely, man. Renaissance of Immortal Soldiers is one of my closest friends. I talk to him, if not every day, every other day. Very good friends of mine. We actually grew up in the same neighborhood. We grew up in Diamond Hill. They actually have an event coming up on May 6th in Fort Worth at Haltom Theater, Unforgiven Live. I was able to book Project Pat. He's going to be headlining their event. I assisted with the booking.
Okay.
Those guys are those guys are great friends of mine, as far as Rand is concerned. And I always kind of feel a little uncomfortable when people praise me and talk about Fort Worth, because to me, he came in before me, and as an artist, he's accomplished more on the artist side than I have as an artist. And in terms of like just manpower and selling CDs and having a presence and connecting to the people, I feel he's done that at a higher level than anybody that I know, especially on the Hispanic side. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've always felt like he deserves to be in that conversation. And then he's also had longevity. My career just kind of went another direction, and me doing live events, has been a big part of my presence now and who I am and how people identify me with, or what they identify me with, better yet.
I actually was going to give them a shout out and say a lot of people don't. I don't know how many people, but I never really hear people giving them the just due on the success they had. So yeah, Immortal Soldiers, and they're still going hard, and they're like one of the most slept on artists to me in the DFW. So
Man, look, I'll tell you a story, man. In 1997, I was in 7th grade at Meacham Middle School. And I've shared this with Ren before, Renaissance being the lead member of the group. I was in 7th grade. We're both in the same neighborhood. I guess one of his cousins brought her cassette to the school, and it was their cassette. And at the time, they were working with Puppy Dog, which was like I think they had like a little deal with Def Jam. I'm not really sure the extent of it, but she brought their cassette. I'd heard them for the first time when I was in 7th grade, and when I heard them rap, I liked the music. I thought they were really dope. You know what I mean? Because they're from my neighborhood, so I was just like, I identified with them, and I heard it, and I told him that at that very moment, it made me realize I never necessarily wanted to be like them. I didn't want to pursue music because of them, but it made me realize that it was possible because someone from my neighborhood was doing music. And so, it's always cool to kind of tell the story that two of the more prominent, Mexicans from the area are from the same neighborhood. And honestly, we're kind of in an exclusive fraternity, because one of the first things that he ever told me, man, and I think it was really cool, was, every year 99 rappers pop up. This is something he told me in my very first conversation with him. He said, every year 99 rappers pop up, and at the end of the year, there's only one or two left, and we're always one or two of them. And then I told him, I said, make it three now. You know what I mean? So, it's really cool. But yeah, you're absolutely correct, man. Those guys deserve their flowers. I mean, you talk about long-term success. When I talk to new talent now, I always tell new talent, yo, you guys want to impress me. I don't care how many plays you have. I don't give a shit how many streams you have. I don't give a fuck about your YouTube views. Last. That's all I want to see you. Last. Just hang around for more than 2 years, and I'll be impressed. Because most people just don't have it in them, man. They quit too fast, And those guys are a testament of nonstop grind for, now I heard of them in 97. It's 2022, man. Come on, bro. That's creeping up on fucking 30 years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, and the one more guy, and one more guy. Is he? I don't know if he's from Fort Worth or not, but I'll always hear he's from Fort Worth. But Nocturnal, I would see him in the studio in Fort Worth all the time. Is he from Fort Worth?
So I don't know if he's from Fort Worth. I know he owned a studio in Fort Worth. I know he had some artists out of Fort Worth. I mean, in terms of like Fort Worth history, we have a very close tie to like Death Row. Obviously, 6'2" was was with DOC for a while, eventually wrote with Dre. And I got the utmost respect for Deuce and what Deuce accomplished with Genocide. And then obviously you also had, you mentioned Nocturnal. Nocturnal has some Fort Worth ties. And also there was a rapper that Death Row signed by the name of The Realist. And The Realist was from over here as well.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Those guys. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Doobie as well. Yep, Doobie as well. I forgot about Doobie. So, I've always feel like that's why, to be quite honest with you guys, I get really offended sometimes when I hear and I see certain interviews from certain, platforms. And I get it, man. Today's generation, just like basketball, right? Like everybody believes that LeBron James is the GOAT in today's society. And there's nothing you could do to tell this generation because they want to believe that their generation is the best generation. But I always kind of get a little offended when I see some of these new guys come in and they make it seem as if hip hop and rap and Fort Worth started whenever they started. Oh, nobody was ever doing anything in Fort Worth until we came along. And it's like, man, there's a whole history of stuff that you guys fail to realize. And it's important for people like us when we have an open platform to just kind of to go, hey, I understand that maybe then it wasn't as perpetuated and broadcasted the way that it is in today's society, but believe it or not, once upon a time there was a Flavor TV, and there was a group by the name of OBDs that was running commercials and had fucking billboards all across East Side Fort Worth. There was a point in time where there was a guy by the name of Twisted Black, and he was out here really fucking making a name for himself. There was Immortal Soldiers, and there were these guys. Like I've never really felt. You know what I'm saying? And there was a guy. I always wanted to solidify myself as part of the conversation, and I never felt that I earned that right. And for me now, I still don't necessarily feel I earn my right on the artist side, but I definitely feel like when it comes to just being a figure in Fort Worth, without question, I don't feel anybody's done what I've been able to accomplish especially with what I've been given in regards to expectation level and tools.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I heard there's this real big festival, the Latin festival that I think you got your hands in it. Catch us up on that. What is that all about?
So, man, let me tell you guys something real quick. Last year, I launched a festival brand called Central Popular. So just to get a little bit of context, my mother, who passed away in 2009, was an independent record shop owner from 1984 to 1996. So the first, 11, 12 years of my life, I was able to spend my life in this independent record shop, and she sold nothing but Spanish music, and she also rented movies out of her shop. So she was like a Blockbuster. And for those that remember what Blockbuster is, there was a such thing as physically going to rent movies. You know what I'm saying? And so we we had those VHSs. We didn't have none of those DVDs at the time. So I grew up in a record shop. And I started wrapping my head last year. Said, I really want to launch a festival. I had several people, including Corey Newton, Joe Budden's manager. One of Joe Budden's managers told me, hey man, I think the next logical step for you in terms of growth is to develop a festival. And I had been putting it off, and he was the one that suggested that I do a Latin festival. So I said, okay, well, what do you recommend? He's like, I think you need to do a Latin festival. So last year I launched it, and I made it an all Latin lineup. I did include Twista on there, because he owed me a date, and I just kind of felt like I needed to put it somewhere, so I put him on the show. But it was really cool to do it last year and kind of get it off the ground. Well, this year is the second annual, and this year I'm not focusing on making it a quote-unquote Latin brand. Part of the reason why I wanted to do a Latin brand is obviously I'm Mexican-American, and there's not enough real Mexican-American representation, not just in Fort Worth, but in general. And being, I feel like it's part of my responsibility. For so long, I was doing these tours with all these artists, and I really wasn't booking a Mexican-American artist. I would do it here and there, but not enough. And I felt like it was extremely important for me to make myself a commodity and make myself knowledgeable and gain all this experience outside of that world. Because just so you guys know, the Latin American, Mexican American world is very extremely supportive, but at the same time, it's a niche, and you fall into a cycle, and there's a lot of money in that cycle, make no mistake. But it wasn't fulfilling for me to be able to go and say, hey, I'm going to be part of this circuit now, because I know what that circuit looks like. I know what that circuit consists of. I want to make myself known and make myself resourceful outside of this world, so when I come back to the world, I could offer more and do more. So that's when the festival launched, and we had a very successful event last year at Wild Acre in Fort Worth. We drew over 2,000. This year we're bringing it back, and again, I honor my mother by naming the event after her independent record shop. So that's where the name Central Popular came from. And this year I'm actually doing it on her birthday. This year, though, I got away from the Latin format because I started seeing a lot of people kind of emulate what I was doing. I started kind of seeing a few different flyers circulate from different Latin festivals that were kind of coming up and trying to, be in the same general area that I was trying to do my stuff at. So I said, it's time to pivot. And I want to focus on making this more of an actual festival brand. And that's what I'm doing this year. And that's where you have, 3-6 Mafia coming out and headlining this event. I have Chamillionaire. Chamillionaire is also going to be performing at this event. And for those that don't know, Chamillionaire was telling people at the Houston Rodeo that August 6th is more than likely going to be his last show. He has not confirmed that yet, but he has told people around him that he has no intent to do any shows outside of August 6th. So that means a lot to me to know that Chameleon is doing this day. And then, in the spirit of keeping it true to the Latin format, I brought Cap G, Flawless Real Talk from the Rhythm and Flow show on Netflix, and I have GT Garza from Houston to kind of stay true to the Latin format. You know what I'm saying? And then I have 3 local artists that I have picked, and I want to give them an opportunity on this. So that's what's going down August 6th. You can purchase your tickets at centralpopular.com. Like I said, 3-6 Mafia has never ever done a show in Fort Worth and haven't done a show together in almost 8 years in DFW. So to have Juicy J and DJ Paul and the crew come together, it means a lot to me. And like I said, Chameleon being part of the event means the world to me, and I'm just excited about this event. But it is 100% my event,
Yeah, for Chameleon to even come, that's hard, man. Because I don't even think he showed up for the J Prince thing. So
shit, to get the whole 3-6 Mafia to come together.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah, I think I could have just left it alone with 3-6, but man, like the idea is to do what hasn't been done. And Fort Worth for so long has been overlooked as a city, as a musical destination. You have so many creatives over the years that are like, oh man, I can't make it to Fort Worth, I'm gonna move. They feel the necessity to relocate. And for me, I think more than ever, like, it's just important to me to give Fort Worth something that they have never really truly had. And we've had nightclubs, but this is different. Like creating a festival brand that's minority driven. Last year was all brown, but this year we're gonna have a lot more black and brown. You know what I'm saying? And we just never really had that in the city because, like, the city's so intimidated by it. You know what I'm saying? They're like, they're how it is, man. Let's keep it real. They fear minorities altogether. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to close the gaps in those worlds and have people come out and just have a good time and enjoy a great event. I hope that this is just the beginning of something that we could continue. And this being the second annual, I'm really hoping that the city takes notice and we can get more support from the city officials like the mayor and so on and so forth, which have been conversations that have been ongoing.
And to piggyback on what you were saying, man, like I think a lot of people who try to do business in Fort Worth, they get scared because Fort Worth is so different from Dallas. So, and a lot of people, they want to make it, they want to do the same things as Dallas. You can't do it. It's a different city, different market. So, Fort Worth is where the West begins. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole different. It's its own different. It's its own. They're their own. They're their own everything. So you have to treat Fort Worth as culture. Yeah, you have to treat Fort Worth as Fort Worth.
We have our own culture.
Absolutely.
We have our own culture. Somebody told me this in 2008, 2009. They said Fort Worth to Dallas is what, like Dallas to Fort Worth is what New York. I think they said no, Fort Worth to Dallas is what New Jersey is to New York. We're the city across the bridge, but fuck all that. Like, if you put it into perspective, and we're just talking about population, right? If we're just talking about population, Fort Worth is number 12 in the highest populated cities in the United States. So the only more populated cities in the state of Texas that are more populated than Fort Worth is Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. Now, allow that to be put into perspective. 5 of the top 12 most populated cities in the United States are in Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like, but Fort Worth is number 12. Where we have more people that reside in Fort Worth than Atlanta, than in Pittsburgh, than in a lot of big major quote unquote cities. So I feel like we have to realize that there's a lot of buying power here. There's a lot of people here, obviously, right? And the more that we acknowledge that we have buying power here, we don't need to go across the bridge to do anything. We're choosing to do that when there's money and an economy here that needs to be fed. And for me, I've always recognized that. I've always seen that. I was late to going to Dallas. I didn't start doing live events in Dallas to 2016. And I'll tell you guys the truth. The first event I did in Dallas, I sold it out. I made a lot of money. And there was a lot of questions that got raised, which were like, yo, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I start making Dallas money on top of my Fort Worth money? But at the end of the day, I was eating so good in Fort Worth, I didn't feel the necessity to go to Dallas so soon. And now I'm able to kind of go all across and have success because I learned what I learned from being able to break into Fort Worth, which was a market that, quite frankly, wasn't known for what I was trying to do.
That's hard, bro. That's hard. On this show, we got this thing called it's called the Trill Wheel, and it's like 10 questions, just like random hot seat questions from the fans, and like different people who reach out and just give us random questions, and we just like to ask everybody who pull up for the interviews to just So I'm gonna pull it up and run this for you real quick. Give me 1 second to pull it up.
I can't see who's even on here. I don't see the chat, so I don't know if anybody's watching or what's going on. I'm just talking.
Oh yeah, they are. It'll pop up. Like I don't know what
we usually have the chat kind of we kind of start putting the skies because it will pop up in the middle of stuff that we were doing. But sometimes we'll bring them up.
Yeah, I don't even know where that thing is. All right. There you go, right there. All right, so let's go ahead and get this. Let's get this wheel started. All right, so the first question on the wheel. Can you see the wheel?
Yeah, shit, funny.
All right, so the first question on the wheel is: what's your craziest moment at a show?
Good. Okay, crazy as in good or crazy as in bad?
Shit, both if you want to do it.
I'll start with the crazy in terms of good. The craziest in terms of good, there's been so many moments. I think the craziest moment, which I consider surreal, was probably the Chameleon show. Even though he wasn't the biggest artist I ever booked, he meant so much to my career growing up. Being able to sell out that show with him was probably like a surreal, crazy moment for me. Crazy as in bad. I booked the game, and right before the game went on stage, his manager Whack 100 just decided to lash out and act crazy, and he was trying to fight me backstage, and he just decided that he was one of those guys. You ever watched the Cat Williams? You ever watched the Cat Williams special? Like, man, you mad at breakfast? Yeah, that's Whack 100, man. That's definitely Whack 100. So that was part of my crazy.
Salute.
He was mad about everything, man. He was mad about everything. He was mad about everything, man. He was mad about food, transportation. He was just trying to create this narrative that I was janky. I don't know what his issue was, but he was like, he was really trying to fight me, and I had to bite the bullet because I had 1,000 people in the building waiting for the game to perform. But one day I'll run into him and we can run that back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hard though.
Yeah, we can run that back.
Yeah, what we got next for him?
He didn't hit you, did he?
He said, did he put his hands on him?
Oh yeah, that's a wrestling question. I bet. It's at a 5-man cage match between Undertaker, Kane, Stone Cold, The Rock, and Goldberg. Who winning?
Undertaker.
Ooh.
Man, where my man Bret the Hitman Hart at? That bitch. How y'all gonna leave my guy out, bro?
He said the Undertaker.
You know, goddamn well, The Rock. Y'all know goddamn well, The Rock is winning all that.
Hell no.
They all they proud take him. I got it though. Your most embarrassing moment.
Shit, Whack 100. Going back to the game, Whack 100. And that falls as my most craziest and my most embarrassing. You know what I mean? I think a little bit of both, but I'd say that.
Damn.
Fucking Whack 100, man.
Damn. He was doing a whole lot of rah-rah back there then.
He had to be, bro. All right, he said,
he's still doing that.
If you compared your career as an artist to any movie, what would it be and why?
Rocky Balboa, because of the underdog. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I represent the underdog. I don't feel like anybody really truly expected me to have that will and that want and the desire to be a champ. And I feel like I've done everything in my ability to prove that I am. And you know, you can't do nothing but respect that after a while. So I think Rocky Balboa would probably be my spirit animal. You know what I mean?
That's
That's
hard,
hard.
That's what.
Yeah. Hey man, I would have doused Whack 100 with some water and took out running.
They build a 5-man super team of Metroplex artists.
That's a good question, y'all motherfuckers. All right, so I'm gonna spitball this. All right, what genre are we talking about? We talking rap? Are we talking hip hop? Are we talking about? Are we
Whatever.
talking about signed, unsigned? Because if it's unsigned, I don't want to do signed because that'll be too easy.
Yeah, unsigned.
But if we're going unsigned, if we're doing 5 unsigned artists, I would definitely say from the Metroplex. Are we again hip hop, R&B? Are we doing?
You can
all
mash them
genres? Or
all
what are we doing
together.
here?
Whatever you want.
All right. So for sure, I think in hip hop we got Rakim Al-Jabbar from Dallas. I think he's dope. I think you have to look at Lou Charles out of Fort Worth because of the fact that he's been consistent and he's self-sufficient, and he's a great performer. I think there's a lot of new guys that are coming in. So I'm very subjective to some of those guys, but I think if you're talking about just pure skill and ability, there's an artist by the name of Ravs who's based out of Dallas. She won one of my competitions. She's incredible, man. She's like a cross between Nora Jones and Amy Winehouse. I think she's just got it. You know what I mean? I think you have, damn, dude. I mean, because a lot of the guys that were really fired, they don't live here anymore. They kind of moved around. That's 3. I mean the other 2, man, I gotta go with I really like what EXO does, he's out of Dallas, best show in town. I would definitely have him on there because he's a singer slash songwriter. He could do a little bit of everything. So I think he's dope.
You definitely giving us some new names to go look up.
Right.
Huh?
I think you definitely giving us some new names to go check out.
And I think that if I had to go with another guy from Fort Worth, I would say just for the sake of like old head, old school, just pure lyrical ability, you got to go with my man King Corleone out of Fort Worth, man. He's still, like he doesn't make music as much now, but like just in terms of just rapping ability, like I've always thought highly of his skill set. So, I mean, you're kind of putting me on the hot seat because I'm probably gonna go back and like I should have said this person, I should have said that person. Because there's so many talented people, but those are guys that come to mind for sure, and for different reasons. You got some performance reasons and some also music reasons. So,
right, most definitely. All right.
Hey, the one chick, bro. Where's she from? Snow the Product. She from Fort Worth?
She's actually originally from San Jose, moved to San Diego, relocated to Fort Worth.
Hey, we'll answer those questions in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, let's say bar for bar, who you taking in a battle between Andre 3000 and Kendrick Lamar?
Andre 3000.
Yeah, me too. Easy. I'm definitely taking 3 stacks, bro. All right, let's get to this next.
That's a generational question, though, man. If you ask me anything from previous generation, I'm always gonna rock with them.
Yeah. All right, so best artists to come out of Fort Worth.
Ooh.
Ever.
Smoothvega.
Nah, definitely not. I mean, I would say, I've been listening to a lot of Twisted Black, man. So I'm gonna say Twisted Black is probably my favorite rapper. Just like pure ability is Twisted Black, but I definitely gotta put Renaissance and Corleone in that conversation. Those guys are. Yeah, Immortal Soldier for sure. They're in the conversation for sure. Like, I mean, those guys. I don't really have like the.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Immortal Soldiers, King Corleone, and Twisted Black. But Twisted Black ladies, but man, I've been listening to his shit lately. Tough,
That's hard.
And you got to put Yayo in the conversation too, man. Honestly.
Yeah, I'll put Yayo in them. Yeah, I'll fuck with Yayo.
But if y'all ain't heard of Immortal Soldier, man, go check them out, bro.
Yeah, I'm definitely about to tap in, bro.
All right. Who's in your celebrity threesome?
Celebrity threesome. All right, that's a good question. If it's me, let me see. So, I mean, if I'm just doing some bucket list shit, I would say this going to. I remember Adrian. Y'all remember that group 3LW?
Yeah.
The land chick. The land chick. Her name's Adrian from 3LW for sure.
Oh, she's on that show
And
called
then
The
there was
View.
this
I
chick.
know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Her from The View. And then
She was a cheetah girl too, wasn't she?
shit, man, it's huh?
She was a cheetah girl. One of the cheetah girls
What's
was
that?
too, wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a cheetah girl too, but she fine.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
She fine. And I don't know, probably somebody Reese, man. I gotta go with somebody Reese. I mean, I don't really have like a celebrity crush like that. You know, like I gotta go through the Rolodex. But I used to think Samaya Reese was like the baddest chick in the world whenever I was on MySpace, and she still got it, you know.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Joe Budden, but Sin Santana, she a bad motherfucker too, you know what I mean?
The shit show.
Shout out to Joe, man.
Well, he gonna have a nice little threesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
They lose with that.
Your janky promoter story.
You know what? I think there's a handful of those. You know, I didn't realize how much like that shit right there like existed. I didn't understand the culture of that, like of what categorizes as a janky promoter. But I think when you really analyze what really categorizes as a janky promoter, it's a promoter that really cuts corners. You know what I'm saying? A promoter that doesn't like to, like in the case of like, booking a national talent, like not paying the talent in full, or shortchanging the talent, or shortchanging the venue, or like, like let's just say a lot of these artists have rider requests. They have to be picked up in a specific vehicle at a specific time, and the janky promoter doesn't show up with the vehicle, or shows up in a beat up vehicle, or doesn't pay them in full, or tries to dip out before the end of the night. I've been fortunate to where I haven't experienced that with that, you know what I'm saying, like in that context. But I've heard of stories where there's been promoters that don't have the money and will leave before the artist goes on stage, or will stick the tab on the venue, and the venue eats the bill, and they try to walk off like scratch free. You feel what I'm saying? So that's about the extent of it. You know what I mean? I think the craziest janky shit that I've ever heard though is people posing to be like, people brokering deals, like, and saying, "Hey, I can get you this artist at this venue." The venue will pay them the money, and then they just pocket the money and go ghost. I've heard of that quite a bit, actually.
Damn.
We have heard
so
that.
it ain't never been no show saying Smoothvega gonna be here, and you don't know nothing about it type shit.
Yeah, pretty much. But I've heard this, like, this has happened even as recent. I think whenever I booked Little Flip in 2008, the guy that was managing him had been doing that shit really bad. Like, I mean, when I say bad, like, he tried to pull one on me, and I just happened to know somebody that knew him, and that avoided from me getting took. But he was close to taking me, bro. For sure.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Boy,
that's tough.
All right, let's last question on the wheel. All right. One gotta go in all their music, Jay-Z or Nas.
Whoa.
That's tough.
Whoa.
That's tough. Man, I'm gonna have to go with Nas on that one if he gotta go, man. I'm gonna rock with Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying?
Fucking man.
You killing me, Small.
All right, Vega. We got we like to ask these last two questions. Like, we like to close this show out with these last two questions. And we're gonna start with, who's in your current top 5 of local artists right now? Man,
this is the same goddamn question you asked me about the super team. I don't listen to anybody on a daily, but I do have a group of local artists that I'm a fan of right now. If you ask me at this very moment in time, I like a gentleman by the name of Hanani. He's out of Arlington, Texas. He's going to be opening up for PNB Rock on May 13th. I have a show at Trees that I'm putting on, and Hanani's going to be part of that show. He's very, very dope. He's very different. I really like what he's doing. I think he's extremely talented. I'm a big fan of Ravs. Like I mentioned, I think she's super dope. A cross between Nora Jones and Amy Winehouse, and a little bit more with a little bit more current flavor. She's super dope. I love what she's doing. There's an artist that's now based out of Tennessee. He was living in Chicago, but he's originally from Fort Worth. His name's Letdown, and I think he's just phenomenal. He's kind of like a rock, but he sounds very current. I love his music. I think he's probably my favorite right now that I listen to. There's a chick by the name of Emma Oliver that I'm very high on. I don't know that I would put her in my top 5, but she's definitely one of my favorites. I don't really know what she's been up to as of late. And I like this girl by the name of Avery Burke. She's out of Fort Worth, and she's a rock. She's on the rock tip. So, I know that's kind of disappointing because I didn't really just throw rappers in there because, obviously you said top 5 local artists, but if we're talking rap, of course, I like what Rakim Al-Jabbar is doing. I like what a handful of other guys are doing as well. But those are some of the people. Like EXO, I love what EXO and the Best Show in Town is doing. Juice Leroy, someone he's on my festival. I love what he's doing. There's a lot of guys, man. There's so many guys out here that are working really hard and that are busting their ass just to get the exposure. And I'm a big fan of those guys that really work hard. I've always been big on Lil Sick. I've always been big on Keela Treese. I've always thought those are two of the more talented artists in the area. And so kind of depends,
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait to go look these people up because I ain't really heard a half of them.
Yeah, he definitely gave us a lot of insight on some artists to go check out.
So before we ask this last question, you got a question right here from the crowd. She said, "Who's your favorite Hispanic local artist besides yourself?"
I would say, Renaissance of more Soldiers, but I think that's kind of given because those guys have been, kind of grandfathered in. I feel like I almost feel like they should be exempt from the conversation. I would say there was a few guys in Dallas that circulated. In Fort Worth, there's not to be biased, but obviously Louis the singer, he's someone that comes to mind that I gotta give him his credit. Louis is obviously an extension of my tree, and I gotta give Louis that props. Little Kaz is someone that's really fucking dope. He's from Fort Worth. There's a few people, but I would say those guys come to mind for sure.
Most definitely. Okay, so the last question we like to close out is, you being from Fort Worth, this is gonna be our first time hearing this. So we like to do what's called the Mount Rushmore of the city, right? So and when we say the Mount Rushmore, we mean these 4 people who, without their impact, their sales, their marketability, whatever, all wrapped into one. Who are the 4 major players who come from Fort Worth that without those players, the music scene, the city, whatever, wouldn't be what it was without these 4 players? From any
hip hop, right?
No, it's just.
Well, I mean, Leon Bridges, for sure. Leon Bridges. I think that goes without saying at this point. I think you got to put Renaissance of Immortal Soldiers on there. Go Yayo and myself.
Real shit.
That's hard.
Now I would say there's other people that have contributed, and I don't want to take anything away from those people, but I think that that's a healthy dose of stuff. Now, like there's other people that have shaped the landscape of the music scene, but I'm only specifically talking about the minorities and what we've meant to the minorities, because I feel like Twisted Black deserves to be in the conversation, as does 6'2", but but whenever I really look at it, those are the people that I think, that's what I would cross reference and be like, these guys,
What about Kirk Franklin?
I don't know, man. Kirk Franklin,
That's what
there's other people too, man. There's a lot of people.
I would have said Charleston White.
What?
I'm fucking that nigga, but yeah, hey, look out, man.
I would put Half Pint on there before I would put Charleston for sure. Solo
Yeah,
Lucci
bro.
before that.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know the Half Pint was from Fort. But yeah. So I guess y'all don't fuck. Okay, I ain't even gonna. I ain't gonna touch on. I fuck with that nigga. But but yeah, like look out, Vega, bro. We appreciate you for taking time out, bro, and pulling up and fucking with us and giving us a lot of game, bro. Like you definitely connected, bro. You somebody we want to stay connected with, man. We paying attention to everything you do, and we're definitely gonna check out these artists that you put us on, man. So
Yeah, man. Look, give all of them a chance, man. Look, if you guys are wanting to search for forward music, I'm telling you now, you won't be disappointed if you look up a lot of these guys. I mean, there's other guys like Jay Diggs. There's other guys that are out here that have been grinding for a long time. My brother-in-law, Royal South, Soup Flame. There's a lot of cats that are putting in some real work that are Young Blacks. The Young Blacks, there's an artist from Forward that's a Hispanic that's putting up millions of views, that's doing his thing, you know what I mean? And there's so many guys, but if you go and take time to go listen to like Keela Trees, for example, who I've very openly have considered someone that's very comparable to like a Lauryn Hill, and or someone like a Little Sick who recently I put him on a show and I called him Tupac with a guitar. There's a gentleman by the name of Fred Davis that I think is really dope from the city. There's a handful of guys that you just got to give an opportunity to listen to these guys. Nino Soul Supreme, Dank 817, Lou Charles, these guys that have been just putting in work, man. That you just got to take time to really listen to them, and you'll be surprised. You'll find some people. There's a gentleman by the name of Choice. I forgot to mention Choice, extremely talented lyrically, and some of the OGs too, man. Like some of the guys that have been around for years. You go back into the history of Fort Worth, you'll be surprised what you come across, man. Like there's some talent out here, man. I'm extremely proud of my city. I'm extremely proud that we're gonna continue, that we have so many creatives like Clay Perry that are pushing the culture forward. D-Flow, that continue to put out music and that continue to be and serve as representation for the city. Because I've always said it and I'll say it again. I feel like we have some of the best talent in the world. We're one of the biggest cities in the United States. We just need to act like it. We need to own it, and we need to continue to push the culture forward. But I appreciate you guys giving me y'all's platform. Wanting to do this interview. I actually had forgot that I was going to do it, and then y'all reminded me, and I was really glad that y'all reminded me because, I just want to be able to talk about what's coming up. Obviously, August 6th, I got a competition coming up here on at the end of May. I just posted on my personal Facebook and on my Instagram. Y'all be looking for that, and I'll be looking for some of the interviews that I got coming. And hey, look, guys, you know what? At the end of the day, I'll leave you guys with this. Just know that anything that you guys want to accomplish in life is possible. You just gotta want it, man. Like so many people talk about why they don't make it, right? What is the purpose of why people don't make it? And I always say it's two reasons why people don't make it. It's the lack of initiative and the lack of knowledge. And really the lack of knowledge stems from the lack of initiative to learn the things necessary to get further. There's a gift to have an initiative. And if you want to make some shit happen, don't complicate it, man. Because at the end of the day, what good is going 120 miles in a car if you don't know where you're going? You might look good doing it, but eventually you're going to run out of gas. Find your purpose. Find what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And I promise you, your destination will be a lot more simple by doing so. So I appreciate you guys.
All right, man. We appreciate you.
Salute to that right there.
On that note, man, we're gonna go ahead and close it out, man. Once again, we appreciate you. We will definitely stay in touch, and hopefully we can get you back soon. Get you to come back one day, man. We be hosting these local talent verses and shit like that. Hopefully you can come back one day as a celebrity judge, but we can talk about that later. You know what I'm saying? But we definitely appreciate you, man. God bless you, and we just hope you just keep doing your thing, and better things just keep coming to you, bro.
Thank you, man. I'm gonna do my best. I'll tell you that, but it's never gonna stop, man. Been doing it this long, came too far to stop now. So it's all love, man. Y'all be careful, man.
All right, man. All right, so man, we will be back.
That boy Smoothvega.
Yeah, man, I get up for my boy Smoothvega, man. Shit, we will be back. We got AV Part 2 coming up this Thursday, man. So y'all make sure y'all come back for that, bro. If y'all caught it on Tuesday, y'all know it was epic than a motherfucker, man. That was one of the most legendary as far as having everybody from the city pull up, man. We had the goats pull up. Everybody was on there, man. So y'all we have Jatavian Sanders coming on a sports show We usually only run it Mondays, but we're gonna do it tomorrow. We got Jatavian Sanders on the show tomorrow, man. So, so y'all make sure y'all tap in tomorrow. Then we backdoor with AV on Thursday, and we got Kurt McGirt coming on Friday. So yeah, we got a Cottonmouth on the 12th. So yeah, y'all just make sure y'all just keep coming back, fucking with us, man. It's getting better and better, man. We got a lot
Shout
of
out to Tavian, the best to ever do it.
Shout out. Hey man. Hey, we gonna fuck with y'all, man. Y'all know the motto, man. Keep God first, take care of y'all people. We gonna fuck with y'all.